Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers, it's Friday, and we are here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast talking Detroit Lions. We thank you for joining the show. We thank you for hitting subscribe. We love it when you guys are tweeting at us. You can find me at Derek Oakrey on Twitter, and have a bunch of fun. And we have fun because of this next guy that I want to introduce, and his name is, he goes by one name. I mean, he's that famous. He's that of a just incredible individual, and his name is Grifka. Grifka, what's going on, buddy?
Oh man, this weather is finally nice. Oh my, I think Will Smith's "Summertime's" been running through my head all week. It's been raining just one day this week. Gosh, this weekend is supposed to be back into like the low to mid 70s. So mild, so nice to go outside. Gosh, I'm so looking forward to this weekend. So once again, everybody, nice weekend. Go out. Go take your dog for a walk, go to the park, play a little catch with somebody. I don't know, just remember 6 feet and stuff like that. So, but TGIF, thank God it's Friday.
Grifka, me and you could actually play football catch because, you can throw it about 6 feet. I mean, after that, it gets a little dicey.
Yeah, I think it's somebody shoots it halfway through, man. I hear somebody say pull like it's a clay pigeon and poof, shoots it right then and there.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable. Grifka, you want to know something I'm doing before we get into football talk? So it's been like 80, 90 degrees, the old Casa de Oakrey here. Like, I've been going no AC because I've been eating good. I've been just slimming down, and like it's about 1,000,000 degrees right now while we're doing the podcast. But I just told myself, I'm just going to go no AC, couple windows open, and make this work. And like you say, it's like 90 now, and it's going to be like 60 and sunny here in a couple days. So that's Michigan for you. But I think that, like you say, it's been crazy. It's a little hot. I got a few fans going and whatnot, but I'm just toughing it out rather than being the wimp that puts on the AC and closes all his windows. Not doing it.
I put the AC on, sorry.
Not the people aren't surprised, Grifka, but let's get into this on a Friday. What the heck are we talking about? Lions. I'm sure you got something that's gonna tee me off, something that I'm gonna have to yell at you about, something that's gonna get me all fired up, that's disrespectful to our team. What the heck do you got this week? 'Cause I'm ready for anything.
I have a few questions for you. Now, the first one.
Here we go.
I've heard you break down the 53-man roster, who you're looking, who can make it where, what positions. It was announced much earlier this week, that the Lions have been looking at Agnew, moving him to wide receiver as opposed to using him at defensive back. And I believe on one of your roster spots, he was actually he did not make the team as a defensive back or special teams guy for the rookies they brought in. Does this position change help him make the roster?
Griffin, I can't believe you started with this right now. This is like if we would have talked before the show, which we barely do. We basically just hit record and we talk football. Like, I would have said, please don't ask me about Jamal Agnew because I'm about to blow my gasket. So, Grifka, is this a real question right now, really?
Oh, yeah, because I know you're going to blow your gasket because you just said it's about 100 degrees in your apartment. So this question's only got to help,
Yeah. Oh, I'm the temperature is no issue for the heat you're about to get right now. So first of all, you bring up this garbage. This is first of all from Peter King's smug candy ass, which how I hate that jabroni, him and his Starbucks, him and his pompous popped collars. This freaking clown. One of the worst people I hate in the reporting is this guy and the DB. So of course you'd be reading this guy, or what he says is gold. okay, so this guy sits in on a receiver meeting and he wants to come back and, break the news or just report that, Jamal Agnew was in on the meeting. Like it's some amazing thing that he's letting the people in on, and people are jumping all over it. Oh, Jamal Agnew, this might be what he should have been doing. Oh, this is a new rebirth for him. This is nothing for Jamal Agnew, okay? Like, this kid had some buzz coming out in the draft. I know Daniel Jeremiah sort of liked him as an under-the-radar guy. The Lions take him. He's fast. I thought he might have some juice. He came in. What was he, like a Pro Bowler his first year? We had a couple kick returns. Wow, congratulations. What has he done the last couple years, Griff, to warrant this guy being in the receiver room? All those dropped kicks that he's had? Oh, yeah. His hands just look like solid steel to me. Either that or they're just dipped in Crisco. Like, I don't want this guy anywhere around anything that's dubbed a wide receiver. The only thing he's ever done good in his life in regards to offense is a couple sweeps. I mean, what has he ran? Like 3 sweeps his whole career. He's been in the league 4 or 5 years now. Like, this guy is off the roster to me. Okay, you're a one-trick pony. You can somewhat return a kick every blue moon. Like, unless it's 4 or 5 times every blue moon, like, I got no time for you. So this guy can go away. I don't want him anywhere near our offense because the first thing that's going to happen is the ball's going to be on the carpet, especially in a crucial moment. Like, I still hold it against him, that drop kick that he had against Arizona. We're beating the daylight. I mean, Griffco, we're punching the Arizona Cardinals in the face and taking their candy. And this clown drops the ball in like the inside the 10 at the end of the half and costs us points, and then we fall apart in the second half. That's on Jamal Agnew. He seems like a great guy, but his time's run out here in Detroit. I'm done with this guy. He doesn't bring enough to the table to justify a roster spot. He obviously can't play defense, and if you're not going to gadget player him, this guy's not playing receiver for my team. There's no way. I mean, he can't get it done. He's not going to just all of a sudden be some interesting, impactful wide receiver. Like, get out of here with this, Grifko. This is garbage. I've had to hear about this for a day or two now, and like, this is the kind of crap that sets me off because like, he's never caught a pass probably in the league more than like 2 yards. He didn't play it in college. He has no reps, and like I say, he's got Ebron-esque hands. Like, he can't catch kicks, so how's he going to catch a 60-yard ball over the middle from number 9? Like, there's no way. Like, what else you got? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, just to piggyback your comment there, you can only run the end around so many times in a game. So yeah, he's not worth a spot. Next question. I know we've talked about this, and we talk about all the former players just kind of like going out, and they seem to be bashing Matt Patricia. Well, Mike Daniels came out, and he was very supportive. Had a lot of comments to say about how he liked the locker room, liked the attitude, like Patricia as a coach, and he has some videos out there of him, doing his work out of, trying to stay in shape because once again, Mike Daniels, isn't signed with the team yet. You think he's doing this, just kind of maybe looking for a spot back on the team because he sounds like he's always wanted to come back? You think him putting this out there just really talking up the locker room and the coach is just kind of saying, hey, I'm here, remember me? Or do you think it's one of those things where truly deep down he really believes this?
Grifka, I'm going to calmly answer this question unlike the last horrible question by you. And this one intrigues me because I'm not sure. Like, I harken back to when you brought up Mike Daniels on this podcast after he was cut and asked if he would be a Detroit Lion. I gave all the reasons why he wouldn't. When they signed him, I got all fired up because I was like, this is the kind of physical beast and locker room and hard-nosed guy that we needed. He came in. He did nothing. He played like 3-4 games. Mike Daniels, please don't beat me up like Taylor Decker when he sees Grifka at training camp. I like you as a person. You are an absolute physical monster. But you did nothing for this team. You made no plays. You were never even playing. And when you did play, unfortunately, you looked fat.
Or says he's fat.
In your jersey, real fat. He's got all this workout equipment that he showed on Good Morning Football. Like, I think we need to see what's in the fridge instead, because I mean the guy's working out, but I think he's also grubbing out, because this guy looked sloppy fat in his jersey. Now again, he could eviscerate me in 2 seconds. I get it, but I was very disappointed in his overall physique, how he looked in the jersey, how he played, his health, his injuries, all of that. But the other part that intrigues me is the Lions have like very thin defensive tackle rotation. Basically right now it's Danny Shelton, who's new. It's Nick Williams, who's new. It's Penasini, who's drafted in the 6th round, I believe. And that's about it. So a couple scrub guys that are always at the bottom of our roster, like your boy Andre Fluellen, that just are always there, but are never there. Are never there. Grifka, can we give Flu a call and see if he can still get us a few snaps? Because we need some bodies down there.
I'm sure he's still on the speed dial.
Oh, there's no doubt. He'd be at the Allen Park headquarters in 2 seconds, despite the pandemic, but he'd be ready to go. So that's why I'm intrigued by Mike Daniels. Is we need people there. He's been a good player in the league. He's got Pro Bowls under his belt. He's been dominant in interior type player. But yeah, I mean, I'm not oblivious to the fact that, yeah, this could be just a classic politician who could just be out there. Hey, you know what? It'd be a great thing if I went out and pubbed the Detroit Lions, told them how much great their culture was, how good their coach was, how much I loved everything about it. And then him knowing too that we don't have a ton of top players at that position. And gosh, what did we pay him? Like $8-9+ million last year? Like, you want to come back for a few mil? I'll consider it, but don't think that you butter us up. I'm giving you anywhere near that, because you better be on the Slim Fast diet and better be playing, 14+ ball games if you think I'm going to give you anywhere near like $4 or $5 million to come back to this team. So I'm torn on this one. I could see it either way, but yeah, Mike Daniels is intriguing, and he scares me, and he's fat, and he was terrible last year, and I kind of wouldn't mind him on the team if he's telling the truth and if the Lions think he could help. There you go.
Okay. Just a quick follow-up to that fat part of it.
Or says he's fat? Fat!
It means he's fat.
Fat!
Do you think him and Snacks had a couple eating contests?
I don't know what those guys were doing. I mean, it's it's dicey down there with those two big fellas and what they brought to the table in 2019. But that's another reason why I'm optimistic for 2020, because those guys just seem like not only did they not want it, but they were just out of shape, not ready to play football. And now who I'm high on, Grifka? I know this isn't part of your question, but you know who I'm high on? Again, this might just be my post, my off-season buzz. But John Penasini intrigues me. You go and look at him. He's productive at Utah. He looks like a nice interior football player. He's good graded from PFF, which we all know like you have no respect for, because you think if you watch one game or a few plays of a guy, you've got him figured out in the good or sucks column. I think Penasini is definitely in the good column, and I think he can help this team. And I think that was a nice piece later of a guy that's going to know his role and come in and make plays. So I think the more players like that, and even a guy like Shelton, are going to be much more productive than kind of those older, to put it nicely, players we had last year.
Okay. One last question for you. This is a kind of outside of the box thinking right here. I just want to see what your thought is on it. Earlier this week, the NHL, mentioned that they were going to start back up again, and they were going to use hub cities. The hub cities were not decided yet, but they would be in those states where I guess they're a little more, a little more open, more things to do for people. They don't have the quarantines like they do in some of the other states. Would you be interested, or how would you feel about this if this is something maybe the NFL did to, like, say, start training camps, maybe the first couple games of the season, where they would use hub cities in states that were a little less quarantined, and maybe something with the artificial fields, because we all know grass fields can get torn up pretty good from a game. Maybe a couple games, first couple games before everything really got rolling. If they have to use maybe 6 hub cities to have games in, how would you feel about that? Or is that something that you wouldn't even consider?
Well, if I'm gonna consider it, I got to know if it's a real question first. Is this real right now? I got to talk about hub cities and this type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of interested to see if this was something the NFL threw out there. Now, this isn't any Lions 24/7 or any late night calls. This is just something I was kind of pondering when I saw the NHL was going to do that.
Oh my gosh, Grifka pondering things, people. It's dangerous on so many levels. Long and short of it, Grifka, I mean, I want to see football regardless. So like, if we really get in a pinch and this is the only way we can do it, I mean, I'd much rather do that than not have football, delay football for multiple months, whatever it may be. I just think it's all pointing towards kind of coming around. Like, people are going to have to be safe. We live in this weird world now where, people want to do stuff, but they also are ridiculous when it comes to being out. I've seen, certain things where people are behind plexiglass and you've got people with all the masks and gloves. I mean, you got to be safe. There's no doubt, but I just think that we are all too fearful when really, I think I saw a stat the other, and I don't want to do this. This isn't my take necessarily of downplaying the COVID-19, but I think I saw something yesterday, like the ultimate, issues was only in like the 100,000s. Like, to me, that's not, we've been shut down for 3-4 months now. And, I hate to see the people that have lost folks or have people, but I also think that the extremes just seem like, man, I feel like the numbers would be way higher, be way worse than we're kind of seeing. It just sort of trying to prevent it as best we can from spreading. But I don't know that it's been this like, hey, every 5th person gets it and they pass away within a week or so, type of issue. So I'm much more on the side of like, I've been staying in, man. I've been staying away from people. When I go out, I got my gloves and my mask on. I'm that guy. But I'm also a guy that thinks, hey, by June, July, August, like, people are creeping back to doing regular things, and they're noticing that, hey, as long as you do some of the basic parameters, like, it's not going to become this, outbreak that you see in these movies and stuff. So I just think the hub city, all this stuff is good for people to think about. I think the sports that want to jump back now are going to be taking ultimate precautions, but my hope is by July, August, September, October that we're going to have the parameters figured out. It's just going to be like, hey, games are going to start on time. There's only going to be X amount of fans that can go. These are the things you have to do if you want to go. And they're going to be on TV, and it's just going to be like a weird year in regards to attendance and all that. But there's not going to be this sense of fear, I don't think, in 4 months from now that there still kind of is now, or that there was 3 months ago. You know what I mean? I feel like it's going to settle itself down, and you're just going to have to move forward with not only with life, but just be smart about how you do it, and then see the results. See, like, hey, this sport came back and they were fine. This sport came back and they only had like 2 minor issues. So that's my hope, I guess. And like I said, if you got to play a few games in other places, great. But like, the NFL is no joke, Grifka. You can't just go play in random cities and not have home games. And then towards the back of the year, oh, let's go back to normal now. You guys just lost out on 4 home games. You guys lost out on 6 home games. Like, that's just a big competitive disadvantage that you can't do. So I'm for safety first. I'm for football almost regardless, as long as we can make it safe. And I'm hoping that it's going to be as normal on the field as possible, and the stadiums are going to be the issue, and the viewing experience will just have to be from home in 2020. But no hub cities if I had my choice, and no ultimate frantic, we're not going to have a season, we may not play till 2022. Like, I'm getting away from all that, because I've just sort of not only had enough. I think that we got to be smart and move forward. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. I like your take on that. It's very, very insightful.
So agree.
Let's do this. Let's take a pause for the cause.
Hey. So you agree?
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry. Let's once again, it's time to pay some bills. Take a pause for the cause. We appreciate everybody listening. For our sponsors. So we'll be right back.
Detroit Koolaid, we're back from the break. Thank you for listening to our sponsors. Grifka, where could the people possibly find you on Twitter so they could send you a funny message or make fun of you or talk about your horrible takes and know that you will never get back to them probably personally?
Well, once again, it depends on what the take is. I may get back to you. I mean, if it's horrible and you're making fun of me, I mean, of course, that is your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. It doesn't mean I hate you. I'm good with that. Reasonable minds can differ. But once again, you can find me at Grifka DKC. That's at GRIFKA DKC.
Grifka,
please
real
feel
quick.
free to call or text me at 989-272-3484.
Oh, you just ruined it. I was going to set you up for that. But first, I want to ask a simple question. So when I give out my Twitter, I spell it because my last name, as easy as it is, people always seem to get it wrong. How else are people going to spell Grifka? Just curious.
I wish I would keep all the mail that spelled it wrong. I have an S in the middle of it. I've had 2 F's before. I haven't had an A before. The K has been a C before. That one cracked me up the most. I mean, KA is just phonetically. I mean, it's just, but, I've had a C in it, so I spell it that way simply because I used to work with a lady whose last name was Marshall. And she goes, "Why do you spell your last name?" I go, "Because generally there's like one way to spell Marshall. Okay, everybody knows how to spell that." I mean,
what? I want to know where the S was in Grifka. That makes no sense to me. There would be an S.
Dude, I've been in college classes where the professors called me Grifka, and there's no S in the middle of that. And that's happened with different professors, mind you. These are PhD professors. They obviously didn't. I mean, they were good professors, but once I corrected them, they got it right. And then, but I've been called Grifska, Grifkusk. I've had like KUS. I'm just like, where does that? Like there's multiple of me sitting there, and it's just like, huh? But the multiple things of mail are the best ones. Or like that. Or sorry for this tangent, but like when we've been trying to reach you about your auto insurance coverage. When they call and they mispronounce my name, I'll be like, "Oh, sorry, that person doesn't live here because it's not a real person." But I've done that before as well.
Oh my goodness, Grifka, like you have settled it. I will let you spell it from now on. But I have been curious the last few weeks, and like I say, please find us on Twitter at Derek Okrie, DEREKOKRIE, or at Grifka DKC. And like I say, Grifka, I'll give you a smidge of credit, but not much, because I've yelled at you before. You never like any of the tweets I put out. You never interact with the fans. You don't publicize our podcast except for hitting the simple retweet button that any 3-year-old could do on our show. But recently, you've done a few more. Now, I can't say you put in much effort because you just basically don't across the board, but you every once in a while will give me a half positive like. You may actually interact with a fan or two. Yet last podcast when I interviewed you, a 30-40 minute interview, if you guys want to go back and hear Grifka's memories of the Lions, thoughts on the Lions, asked him what his favorite part about doing the podcast was, and he went on and on and on about something about his interactions on Twitter, which are like non-existent. I mean, the guy very rarely, every blue moon, will get into something, or somebody will take him to task, or I'll yell at him, and then it's a 15-minute back and forth between me and him, like an extension of the show. But that was his big win, not like how much fun the show is, not all the hard work we put in, how we've grown it, how much we love talking Lions, how funny I am. It was just something about your Twitter people, which like I don't even see that. I don't know what's going on. Maybe you're getting 1,000 DMs a day. I don't know, but this makes me laugh very hard.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not one of those people on Twitter that just like looks to battle all the time. So I choose my battles. So if I really want to feel like getting in one, if my Irish is up, even though I'm not Irish.
But you always act like, oh, it's the hardest thing ever. Oh, I'm sorry I don't put as much work in as you. What do you see me do? I retweet funny stuff. I retweet Lions things. I actually put out something every once in a while to the people saying, hey, what's Jelani Tavai's ceiling? I'm curious your thoughts. Hey, Grifka thinks Jared Davis isn't that great. What do you think? Like, it's not hard. This isn't brain surgery. This is 6 minutes of your day to interact and grow your audience and have fun with the people. I mean, is it too much to ask, really? I mean, we know you have functions. We know that you're a superior being to all of us numbskulls, but it's really not that hard. You make it like it's this time issue when really I think it's just capital lazy boy scouting has no clue how to work social media.
I don't know. I've kind of wasted hours of a Saturday on Twitter battles, and it's just like at some point I'm just like,
that's on you.
I got other things to do.
That's your issue. That nobody forced you to do that. That's you not knowing again what you're doing. You have to, if you would not have horrible takes or not engage the people in worthless arguments, you'd have a good following and good inner time like me, and you wouldn't complain that it takes you too long, because I barely take any of my time to do it, yet I still have a bunch of fun with the fans, and I always get good interactions. I mean, we're having a great time on the Detroit Koolaid Cast Fantasy League. I mean, great draft, really fun. I mean, lots of good people in there. I see that I'm up in the Twitter bracket. I'm a 12 seed this year, which I've already advanced, so we'll see how that goes. That's fun. I mean, it's just fun stuff. You don't got to be wasting a sunny Saturday yelling at somebody for somebody telling you that Taylor Decker's an elite left tackle. That's on you.
Well, I have to set them straight to know that Taylor Decker's not elite. I can't help it if they're too blind to see that.
I mean, if he's not elite, if he's not elite, what the heck is he?
He's average at best. Gosh.
Or he's something else that you say on the show.
Yeah, he's not that great.
All right, Grifka, what else you got? That was a sideburn from my of your Twitter love / acting like that I spend hours upon hours on it when I just barely use it, but I have a bunch of fun. So go ahead, at Grifka DKC, everybody. Go give him a follow, tweet at him, and we'll see if he gets back to you.
This is what I got for you here. Now, it's been well documented that, like you said, I've been a Lions fan for a long time, and you came in, you started really like the Lions. What was it, Matt Millen's first year? I believe you said that when he took over the team. So you've seen a lot of lean years.
Yeah.
Am I correct in that statement?
Somewhere around there.
So I have a couple things here for you. What I want to do is I want you to use your memory, of the team and the players that have been on the team. Now, I'm going to give you a position. And I want you to put taking different parts of different players, and I would put, this with this guy, this and this. If you add this would be my X player on the team. So the first one I want to start with, out of all the quarterbacks that have played for the Lions, there's certain parts of certain players that you would put together, a couple, 2-3 parts, and okay, if I had this part, this would be my perfect quarterback for this team.
Yeah, I mean, again, quarterback's the most important position on the field. So in my time kind of as a Lions fan, I mean, right when I started was kind of right a little bit after they kind of got Joey Harrington, as I called him back then. Most people know him as Joey Blue Skies. I felt like Harrington had, everything you look for like in a college player. He was that classic, guy off the field, clean cut, seemed to have the ability to make the throws, had good college production. I was a supporter of his early. I know he got hurt and had some issues, and they kept bringing people in. And I kept telling people Joey Harrington has more talent than these other guys. He just hasn't put it together yet, or he, doesn't have these qualities. And it came down to Joey just not having enough leadership and not having enough players around him and enough support from the organization to be able to do it in Detroit. So, if I was going to take something from Harrington, it'd be kind of like that clean cut, off the field, good guy that you want. Later in my fandom, as you would say at Grifka, we had a guy named John Kitna, which I don't talk about it a ton on the show or on my Twitter, but I might start because it's really important to me. So over the last, since I was younger, but definitely in the last, little bit of my life, my faith's really important to me. And I think it's a really driving force of not only my life, but, a lot of our lives out there. And I feel like John Kitna had an amazing faith, ability to lead men just by, the faith that he had in the Lord, as well as just some of the leadership qualities that he had, which again, I think were a little bit lacking in Joseph Harrington. So, I would love that in my leader. And then, when it comes down to the moxie, the ability to throw the football, you're looking at number 9 there, Matt Stafford. He, from day one, it could throw the ball, 60 yards with the flick of his wrist. We've seen the moments back in 2011, 2012, even recently, where he gets the guys going. He's got that swagger about him. You like to see that. So, if I could build my perfect quarterback, it'd be the clean cut, nice guy, no worries, do all the commercials and stuff off the field of Joey Harrington. I'd give the faith and the leadership and the ability just to kind of will his way to it in John Kitna, and then obviously give me the talent a Matt Stafford when it comes to throwing the football, as well as having a little swag, a little bit of leadership, and a little bit of give me the ball in the fourth quarter, I'll go win it for you type of feel.
I like that. I really do. And one thing about John Kitna, I mean, he was on some bad teams. That guy could take a punch. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember so many games of him just getting the crap kicked out of him, and he was up under center. I mean, jeez, that guy could take a beating, and he would still come back and be under center. So
My other
I
favorite
really
thing,
like that point.
my other favorite thing about Kitna too was how he'd throw to spots. Like I just felt like Martz had that offense where like he didn't have a cannon and he wasn't a great athlete, but he would just throw it to areas of the field and people would just run under it, or he'd be right on point to the Mike Furries of the world and the other receivers we had. And it was just like, man, he made those type of plays, and Stafford does that as well. But there's something pretty to like a quarterback like him or the Kurt Warners of the world, where they would just anticipate so much that the ball would be 10 yards out in front of a guy just right on the dime and catch it and go. So yeah, man, we gotta get this. We got to get the quarterback figured out, or those would be three great, traits from guys that get us over the top. But I like the guy we still have under center here. I think he's got some of that clean cut as well as some of that leadership as well, and obviously the arm talent to make it happen. So come on, 9. Let's get some wins. Let's get back on the right track. Let's go.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's talk about the guy trying to get to the quarterback. What type of defensive players, defensive linemen? You can talk about either defensive tackle, defensive end, kind of make like a hybrid one. What traits would you take in there?
Oh man, it's tough. This is before my time as a fan, but me, like as quiet of a guy as I am, I do like to have some fun and whoop it up when it comes to competing, like beating you in washers every time we ever play, or on the basketball court. I used to like to talk a little smack to people and have a little bit of fun. So like a Porsche type where he was raising the roof on every down, or kind of had that, almost trash talker, hype man type to him. I like that. Trying to think who else. We really haven't had a ton of good pass rushers, like I know a lot of people like Cliff Averill. To me, he was a speed guy where he'd get sacks, he'd get production, but they were always like, fourth quarter down 20 points. Hey, there's Cliff Averill with 2 sacks, in the quarter. That didn't make any difference in the ball game. So I liked his athleticism and production at times, but not overall type of football player. And then, you got the Ziggy Ansahs of the world, Grifka, who have everything. They're 6'4", they're 275 pounds, they're ripped out of granite. They look like they're just sculpted, and they should be dominant. They should be like a top 5-10 defensive end in the league. And they just aren't, unfortunately. I don't know, probably because they're never on the field, as you would often say. They're the Lamborghini that's stuck in the garage. But I would love a player with that type of physicality, when it comes to size, speed, and ability. And gosh, I'm trying to think of a guy that was productive. I mean, you say edge rushers or defensive linemen?
Maybe you like the attitude, the spunk of like somebody on the D line or something like that.
Yeah.
That you would add in there, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only other two I'd bring up are two guys that, I was a big fan of Nick Fairley. I loved his college tape. I love what he brought. I felt like he was like I always called him, like, I thought he was going to be like the bad boy version, football version of a interior defensive lineman, where like nobody else liked him, but he was our beast in the middle that would tackle you and then stay on your face for an extra 5 seconds where he shouldn't have, or he'd rough you up after a play and tell you about it, but like he was just athletic enough to make the plays. But he didn't pan out. And then the other guy that I always beat up on the show because he outpriced himself and he left because he's a just greedy bastard is Ndamukong Suh. Like, he was a guy that, I don't value the interior guys as much, but I did love his nasty at times, as well as some of his production. When we had him on the team, he helped our defense. He made us a better team, but not paying a guy $20 million. So if I had to put one together, you'd have to give me a freaky bendy guy like Cliff. You'd have to give me a physical beast like Ziggy, and I need the nasty, like those interior Fairley and Sue, and then I need an outside guy, or I need a hype man like Porsche, who doesn't matter if it's 4th and 8 in the first quarter. He's going nuts, getting the crowd hype like it's a Super Bowl. So that'd be my lineman that I need.
Okay. Nick Fairley, fat and lazy. Let's go back to the offensive side of the ball. We've seen a number of running backs on this team. The Lions have tried to fix the running game since you've been a fan. What attributes in a running back that the Lions have had would you look to put together?
Oh man, we just need Kevin Smith back. Kevin Smith,
shoestring tackle man.
Oh,
a guy
man.
who could slam the football into the ground with the best of them after getting tackled. Kevin Smith.
Where's my black 34 Smith with the 8 Fs on the back that I had custom made? Like, what a waste of money that was. But
Is that your new doormat?
Yeah, exactly, man. That was rough. The black jerseys too were not good. I've seen a lot of Twitter talk recently about Lions go back to the olds or the throwbacks or the black, and it's like it's like I mean, there would be some cool throwbacks you could do, but we don't need the black jerseys back. So I mean, if I got to build a running back, I mean, it seems pretty simple. I mean, you just take the elusiveness and the electricity of Barry. You know, there were things, I mean, again, you just think about all the Lions running backs since, like, you know, Smith and who was the other guy we had? Kevin Smith, and who was the other guy after him that we got out of Jones? Remember Jones had a year or two?
Oh, Kevin Jones.
Kevin Jones had a year or two. We're like, oh, we're set. We got ourselves a running back. And then, like, he was a piece of garbage, like, in years 2, 3, and then he's out of the league. So I don't know. I mean, it's basically just like the electricity, the vision of Barry, and then I guess I'm going to have to take attributes.
Speed of Javid Best.
Yeah, I mean, you could give me the speed of Best, just don't give me the head of Javid Best. You know, I would take like our current guys. I mean, I love the vision and the shake and bake of DeAndre Swift. You know, give me the kind of upright yet speed and elusiveness, kind of even the ability to get skinny in the hole of Kerryon Johnson and make some plays. And then, you know, people are going to hate this maybe, but there was a good 2-3 year window there where I love me some Theo Riddick. I think I got a Theo Riddick jersey still tucked away in the old closet here, number 25.
No, it's good, man. His pass catching ability out of the backfield is far greater than Barry Sanders. I mean, Barry Sanders, you want to talk about hands of stone? That guy, he had trouble catching the ball from 5 yards away.
Yeah, man. So like you say, I mean, when he was in the game, you know, Riddick not only did catch everything, but he had those years where he'd give you the day leg, he'd give you the stanky leg, he'd give you the shake, he'd give you the little excitement. He scored a bunch of touchdowns there for a year or two as well, and then he fell off the map. I don't even know. He's not even on a team right now, which is crazy. He hadn't done anything since he fell off with the Lions and left. So, you know, vision, speed, ability of Barry. Give me the grit. Give me the excitement of Kevin Smith and Kevin Jones there for a couple years. Give me the shake and bake, do it all ability of DeAndre Swift, and then I'll take Javid Best speed as well as you know, be able to catch the ball from Theo.
Okay. So the last two positions, the guys with the bravado. I want you to pick your first players for DB first. What would you take in the DBs that you've seen for Detroit? We can talk either cornerbacks or safeties. Or actually a hybrid of the two. I don't care.
Yeah. Gosh, it's not a very good list. I mean, I banged on the table for a while that the Lions, there's that stat out there, they hadn't used a pick on a corner since Terry Fair. Like, there's a lot of guys in there that are just pretty pedestrian or below average at best. You know who I would remember at corner, which again, the Lions have had way too many of these guys that have shown up for a cup of coffee and we're like, oh man, this guy's a ball player. And then he just is out of the league the next year. Chris Houston came in here and had a year. We were just like, oh, this is our number one corner. He's a ball player. Gave him a big old contract. He never played it down after we gave him the contract, just like DeAndre Levy at linebacker. So, I mean, I don't even know, Grifka, when it comes to corners. I mean, I know you'll probably go on and on about all the qualities of Darius Slay, but like, you know, when I'm thinking about corners, I'm thinking about guys like Alfonso Smith, who would intercept the ball, take it to the house, and then yell at everybody and hand the ball to Jim Schwartz and tell him how great he was. I'm thinking about guys like before my day.
Thinking about Lou Delmas, who would like talk trash if you made a tackle 4 yards in the backfield or 40 yards down the field.
Oh, yeah. You know I love Lou Delmas. What about a Hedabo back there at safety who would dig the grave of anybody that came in his area code? Gosh, man, there's been a lot.
You gotta like the smarts of Glover Quinn, though. I mean, he had some good years for Detroit until, like you said, he got old pretty fast. But he was. I mean, you have to really like what he did back there as safety for a few years for Detroit.
You know what's funny, Grifka? You took a very low blow, cheap shot at me on your Smack Talk podcast where you talked about me selling my authentic autographed Glover Quinn jersey. That is not the case. It's still in my possession. If somebody would like it for a nominable fee, you can hit me up at 989-272 Kevin Smith or more. But it's still here, and I was the biggest Glover Quinn guy the minute that we got him from Houston. I was like, this guy's a ball player, getting him at a good time in his career. He came in here and balled out. But I got the same issues with GQ as I do with guys like Calvin, Sue, all these other bums where like, okay, even if you came in here and played good football, you left on such a horrible note, as well as just were disrespectful to the organization, acted like it was all about you. You know how that gets me, where people are just like, there's one thing to like do what's right for you or to take care of yourself. And there's another part of being an a-hole and being like, it's all about me. Like whatever I do is the only thing that matters. Screw my teammates, screw the organization that paid me millions of dollars. So I'm like sour on GQ for that reason. It's like he left, talked a bunch of noise, like never acknowledged what the team did for him. He could have been that guy that's coming back for next 20 years being like, how the Pistons are revered. Like what a solid guy he was, not only on the field, but for the city. And instead he left on such a horrible note. Again, like Calvin, like Sue, like so many others. So that's why he's off the radar for me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he was a smart player. He got turnovers, but I just kind of write him off because of he had no respect for Detroit or the Lions or just, I don't know. It's just something about him where it was like, oh, it's about me. It's about, I'm just want to do my thing. I don't like Matt Patricia. It's just like, whatever, bro. So if I had to build my corners or even some of these other positions you mentioned, like it would definitely come into play, like what their attitudes are and are they good people off the field and stuff like that. So I don't know a ton of other corners, Grifka. I can't, but like
you're right though. The Lions' defensive backfield has been pretty slim picking since you've been a fan. So even since I've been a fan, the Lions' defensive backfield's been pretty slim picking. So.
Yeah, I would need I bet you I could come up with a ton of names if I had a rock, because there's been some funny players. There's been some guys that had a cup of coffee. There's guys that made a few plays that we could always talk about. But between
you wouldn't take the oily hips and the bendability of Mike Ford, the wins.
Oh no, definitely. Mike Ford, man, if he's still on this roster, I'm gonna be frustrated. But
last one. Let's move on. Let's finish this one up. I know the fans. I'm dying to know.
Oh god.
I know you like humble guys, but there's points where you seem you like guys that like to do the finger wag as well. And this position loves to bring that. Wide receiver. What guys that play wide receiver would you put, together to make a Lions wide receiver?
Oh man, I'm when you mentioned this off the top, I'm going, man, I hope he asked me about wideouts. This is a good one to finish on. Grifka, you know what? I don't know if I agree with you about you like these guys that smack it up and do crazy stuff. I don't see you as that guy at all, really. When it comes down to
me.
it.
That's not me. That's you.
No, that's me. That's definitely me.
So there's times you like the humility and how a guy's humble, but then there's sometimes you really love guys who just seem to go out there and like to look at themselves and point the finger and pat themselves on the back. So kind of torn. So I'm kind of wondering.
It's different. Like you say, I like humble hard workers for the football team. But if you're good enough, like Dion was, or like some of these players, yeah, I like it when you're just superior and it and you're willing and you produce every week. Like, yeah, that's fun to watch. And like you said, back in my day, I was not the greatest basketball player ever, but every few games you'd see me with a crazy behind the back pass or a scoop Jordan-esque layup or some half court shot that was just crazy. So yeah, that's much more entertaining than the bounce pass or the bank shot, player to watch. So when you're talking about wide receivers, you brought me right to my first one, the guy that had the ultimate swag, the guy that would pull out the bow and arrow on you on the first down of the ball game. And that was Roy Williams. One of my favorites. What a character, what a fun guy to watch. What a guy where like he would get so excited about the dumbest crap, and like it always came back to bite him. It'd be like he'd go, what did he do that one year? We're getting beat by like 20 points on a Thanksgiving game, and he did like some celebration in the end zone. Everybody's like, yo, you're down 21 in the fourth quarter. Like, what are you pulling out this elaborate thing for? But I mean, you got him, you got Nate Burleson on the swag. I mean, those guys were always fun to watch in regards to that. When you're talking about, production, you're going to go to the number 81, the name that I shall not speak of. I mean, he had ultimate production and was a physical force. I've never seen anybody that showed up to the combine, wasn't going to run a 40 and said, oh, okay, I'll do it. Give me your shoes. And then ran like a 4.3. That's crazy. So he's just a physical as well as the production that you look for. I don't know, Grifka, do you like your football players a little crazy? A little bit with a screw loose?
I like how do you not like the appetite of Mike Williams? From what I heard, he can polish off some chicken wings.
Oh yeah, that's somebody. Who was it? There was a Twitter thing about Mike Williams. People are doing all these like my plans versus 2020, and like somebody I think did like my plans, and it was like Jerry Rice, and then 2020 was Mike Williams. Like the hardest working wide receiver ever, and then the laziest piece of crap ever. You know what I mean? Like, gosh. Mike Williams, though, like he's almost was one of my guys for a while because he had all that college pedigree. He was big. Like I thought, why don't they ever let this guy play? And then I was up there in the suite with all my friends. I looked to my right, and there was Mike Williams. He had about 50 chicken wings that were cleaned off, like they had been ran through his teeth, like you can't imagine on his plate there. So yeah, that's when I was basically knew he was a fat piece of crap. But yeah, I mean when you're talking about the eating ability, again, we can throw Mike Williams in with Daniels
Talk about
and
a
snacks.
Young, hungry guy right there.
Yeah, he had an appetite for everything but success. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, the Lions have had some crazy, when you look back at it. I mean, it was before my time, but I was going to ask you on your interview show about, I wasn't around for Herman, Perryman, and who's the other guy? Who's the other three?
Johnny Morton.
Morton, Perryman, and Herman Moore. Like, I mean, those are a pretty sweet combo there of all guys that complemented each other. And then the thing I give the Lions credit for is, like, before the league went to crazy passing, the Lions tried to do that. They just struck out on 2 out of the 3, or even all 3 of the guys that they took, when they were trying to load up on 3 big-time receivers. So, I mean, if you like a screw loose or a crazy football player, you could throw Titus Young in there. If you want to like have just a wacky personality, I was hoping he'd be good. He had a cup of coffee, and then other than that, you just had a lot of marginal receivers. I mean, give me the heart and the grit of Mike Furry. I mean, a guy that didn't even play receiver and then caught 100 passes. That's craziness. But you could take some of those traits and make a pretty dang good receiver for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, you could have the speed of Bill Schrader with the hands of, Eric Ebron. I mean, Bill Schrader could run. He could run like a deer. But, gosh, that guy couldn't catch a freaking cold. I mean,
right.
Oh, gosh.
Right. Do we want the speed of Ozakeem, but the talent and the production of Ozakeem?
Best 4th wide receiver around that you try to make the number 1.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
That's bad. Okay, so that's cool. I was just kind of wondering, to kind of pick through your brain, like, different things of guys that you'd seen through the years, what traits you really liked about him. It's like, gosh, if this guy just had this, he'd be great. So, I was always kind of interested in that,
we need to
because, like I said, you've seen a lot of lean years, so.
Yeah,
just was kind of wondering there.
Imagine that, Grifka. I'm still the optimistic, forward-thinking, excited person on the show, even though I've seen 2 playoff games, both of which we lost, 3, I guess. I think in total.
You're the optimistic one. Excuse me, Julian. Was it Jelani Tavai, Chris Spielman, Austin Bryant, Kevin Green? Thank you. Okay, who's optimistic here?
All right, you're making a late run, I guess, at drinking some Detroit Koolaid after I shove it down your throat every week. I mean, come on, Griff.
I don't know. I think you added something to Detroit Koolaid.
Yeah, we got to.
I'm not going to be able to get drug tested at work tomorrow for what I'm drinking.
This is where we spike it in the off season, and then by by mid-year, you got to get out the old music for you by like week 4. Where Grifka starts whining and bitching and saying, "See, Oakley, I told you so." Everybody just mark the tape in May. Grifka thinks Austin Bryant's a Hall of Famer. Carry-On's going to go for 1,500 catching. The world is a great place. And, of course, he has us winning 10, 11 ball games. So you know how it goes here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. This is old hat. And this is you trying to get a couple more Twitter followers, trying to work the people, even though, like, they already know your gimmick. So we know what it is. Grifka, you know what we got to do off of this type of show is in the off season, maybe we'll pull up the some old rosters, so I actually have some names to look at and like just pick people out and talk about remember whens with certain people. Because if I saw names, I'd be able to give you some not only stories, but man, I love this guy, or remember when this guy did this, and they have like nobody that's not a diehard Lions fan will have any clue who these people are, but like I remember
what could have been if this guy actually would have done this, he could have been great.
Right. Remember this play on Thanksgiving, and then like you'd say, well, what else did he do? And it'd just be get out the cricket soundbite. You know what I mean?
If Mike Williams would have put down the chicken wings, he could have been great.
Yeah, we should do that. But yeah, man, it was fun. I guess there's just one final thing that we have to do, and the people love it, and it's a classic bit on the show, and it's simply this. Grifka, I mean, I've just been wondering that you might have something just extraordinary, just unbelievable, maybe something stupendous, just earth-shattering for the people. Do you have anything else for the people?
Nope.
I thought you might say that, but thank you guys so much for listening. Another fun show, 2 fun shows this week, and we'll be coming back next week. 2 more shows. You can also catch my other podcast, Believe, BLEAV, and Lions, which it sounds like Grifka is also a subscriber to. So again, I'm shocked to hear that, but he's putting in a little bit of extra work, probably listening so he can take some of my info and my takes and then recycle them on the show, which I will then give him these. Grifka, we're out of here. We'll catch everybody next week right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.